What hasn't been around for a long time is Bluesky, the social media platform which is gaining users in recent weeks as an alternative to X. On Thursday, the platform reported more than 1 million users had signed up in a single day. The platform CEO says the site is growing by 10,000 users every 10 to 15 minutes and has more than 18 million users right now. I want to bring in Jay Peters for more. He's a news editor at Verge, and he joins me now to discuss. So Jay, on Thursday, it's so funny. On Thursday, that's when I opened up my Bluesky account. And what I've noticed about Bluesky is how it feels very reminiscent of Twitter circa 2012. Is that what is playing into a lot of people's decisions to sign up for Bluesky?
Yeah, it really feels reminiscent of a former era of Twitter when it wasn't owned by Elon Musk, who changed the name of the platform to X. It looks and functions a lot like Twitter, but it doesn't have, maybe Elon puts a little bit of his thumb on the scale, it seems like sometime, on what you see on X. And Bluesky feels much more open and has a really exciting energy right now.
So the question, of course, when I referenced the fact that it reminded me of Twitter back in 2012, I recall in my early days as a foreign correspondent that I was actually using Twitter as a potential news source. In other words, I would see something trending. This is when I was a foreign correspondent based in West Africa. I'd see something trending, and then I would try to actually report it out based on what I'd seen trending, either from reporters on the ground in a particular area or potentially sources that were putting statements out on social media, in this case, Twitter. Can we do that now with Bluesky? Does it have the sort of same, is it the same tool that we used back in those days?
I would say it's getting there. I think there's a lot of organizations or people who are still on X and maybe posting there first. But what I've noticed, especially over the past several weeks, is that a lot more organizations and people, they're joining Bluesky, they're posting news on Bluesky, and you can definitely use it much more as like a real-time resource for news and information. And it has DMs now, and so you can just DM people if you have any questions or want to go do a little bit more reporting after that.
So I'm also on Threads, Ajay, and that's a much bigger platform. It's another alternative to X, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the differences are. It seems like Bluesky is getting more traction. Certainly more people are talking about it than they were about Threads, but what would differentiate the two?
So Threads, owned by Meta, I'd say the big difference is that they push you towards an algorithmic feed that you see every time you open the app. You can switch back and forth to look at folks you follow in reverse chronological, but the app always kind of edges you back towards this For You feed that they call it. And it just gives kind of a different perspective on what you're seeing when you open the app. You have a less than an idea of what you're going to be shown. But Bluesky can default to that reverse chronological feed of folks that you follow. There's a ton of ways you can customize your feeds as well. So I think you have a lot more options, and I think users just seem to be quite a bit more happy with the type of control that they have on Bluesky.
And so is any of these alternatives to X, is it making a dent in the users who are currently using X to put out content? In other words, I saw a tweet, that's what they're still calling them, from Linda Yaccarino, who's the CEO of X, saying that they had more users on election day than they'd ever had in their history. But so is it at all bringing the numbers down for X?
I think we'll have to wait and see what the long-term change might be. X has had a lot of pull. I mean, I've personally been surprised. I thought more folks would not be on it after Elon Musk took over 2 years ago, but it's still a really valuable resource for news and information. We'll see if this push to Bluesky encourages more people to stay off X over the long term. It's definitely a question. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. All right. I did, Jay, just to do a little test with Bluesky and X during the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. I saw something trending on X, which was Mike Tyson's butt, because he did that video where he walked off and you could see his butt. And I was like, what's that? And I immediately went to Bluesky, and it popped up in Bluesky and X. So the news is still there.
It's getting there. Yeah.
It's getting there. Mike Tyson's butt all over the place. Jay Peters, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.